everyone, you are welcome to my channel, A Heart to Heart Talk Parenting the Special Needs Child. Today's episode is going to be interesting. I have a very special guest in the house. Guess who? Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Like I said earlier, we have a very special guest on this show and he will be taking us through coming to terms with having a special needs child. Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL. Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL is my guest today. I want you to introduce yourself to viewers all over the world.
Thanks for having me on the show. My name is HAKEEM LAWAL, as rightly mentioned. I'm the General Secretary, Nigerian Association of the Blind, Kwara State Chapter, also the Youth Leader, Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities. And I would like to add that I'm an individual with visual impairment.
Wow. How has the journey been so far?
Yeah, thank you. It has actually been a very hectic one. It's not easy to survive being a person with any form of disability, especially in this third world country we find ourselves. But we are left with no other option than to just keep going. It's not very easy, if I must be sincere with you.
I can imagine, in this part of the world whereby there's no much, how will I say, attention to people living with disabilities or one form of condition or the other. Now, I want to ask you, is it that you were born visually impaired or it just happened at a certain stage of your life?
Thank you very much. I wasn't born blind. I became blind at the age of 20, then as an undergraduate of University of a particular university. Permit me not to mention name because I have some awful experience concerning this university, and it's all about the personality. It's all about the personnel, not the institution.
Not the institution as a whole.
Yes, exactly. So the experience was that I became blind, like I said, because I took a particular drug that was said to be a fake drug. I was having a runny nose, and I took this drug. That wasn't my first time of taking it. I've been taking it some years, at least not less than 5 years prior to that time. But I took it this day, on a particular day, and I started having some reaction. So I rushed down to my parents and I was taken to a hospital, a private hospital, and that was all I knew. But after some weeks, at least 3 weeks, I could not really see what was going on then. But later I discovered I could not open my eyes and things like that. So then I discovered the whole of my body peeled to the extent that they could not move me away from the bed because I would be bleeding. And not even a part of my body escaped from this ugly incident. To the extent that I lost the whole of my fingers. In fact, including the leg. So, but it was a very awful experience. But we thank God, it resulted into total blindness. But that is the least I think I could lose, because not a single person ever imagined that I could survive the situation. To the extent that one of the doctors that treated me said that year was his 25th year in service and he had never experienced such a severe sickness. To the extent that he made it clear that they were not even very sure of what they were treating. Because it was later that when I was taken to another facility, General Hospital, that it was now confirmed that the reaction was as a result of perhaps a particular drug I took. And I could remember that a night before that time, I took a particular drug that I may not want to mention online.
Then the private hospital you went to, you are very sure that they are certified and the doctors and the team of other specialists that saw you are also certified specialists, isn't it?
Yes, they are. I'm very sure of that.
Okay, and you and series of tests were conducted?
Even in General Hospital, yes, even in General Hospital. I was later taken to a General Hospital and they also confirmed the same thing. And there was nothing they could do to reverse it.
General Hospital entails having a series of practitioners where they also checked you and they saw that there's nothing to be done, you're already gone blind.
Exactly.
I want to know what was the reaction of your parents, having a child, having a son in the university, like you said, you were an undergraduate, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I happened to be 300 level then, studying banking and finance.
Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL was on 300 level studying banking and finance. When this reaction came, he took a drug and it came out that he lost his sight. In fact, at that point, he was battling for survival, not even his sight now. And then it now dawned on him that the site is gone and there's little or nothing that could be done. So what was the reaction of your parents?
As caring parents, it's actually shocking them, but they had to accept everything in good faith. To be precise, my father, in fact, he is someone I will forever remain grateful to. My mother as well played a very vital role, but my father happens to be a very lion-hearted person because at the peak of that ailment, nobody could stand by me, not even any of those in the hospital facilities. Staring at me, even those that were pushed in with stretcher, stood up themselves and said they could not stand staring at this man with the severity of the condition. But I thank my parents, they were able to stand in. Like I said, my dad precisely, though I could see that they were not feeling comfortable. It got to an extent that he was walking on the road and somebody had to come and pick him out. Sir, you are walking right in the middle of the road. You know, that shows the level at which he was affected. It was, by my situation. But all thanks to God, and I really appreciate them for their impact because they really stood by me. And also my siblings, in fact, I give it up to them.
Yes. We want to let you understand that it is not as if you're not going to take the shock. The shock is going to come in. As a parent, you feel very low. This is a boy that was doing very well in school, at 300 level, almost a year to graduate, and this suddenly came in. Definitely, I can imagine how they would have felt with that. And like he said, his dad was even at the middle of the road having a lot of thinking. What can he do to help his son? And this happened. You said you were in the university when it happened. Exactly. What did the school management do? Were you able to finish your study as a regular student, or you had to opt out?
At a point, I went to seek a deferment of study, and the response I got from the then HOD of that department wasn't very palatable. His statement was, if you survive the operation, fine, and if otherwise, there's nothing you can do. The decision is mine. Honestly, that was the feedback I had from him. So I decided to just opt out because I couldn't imagine myself even when surviving, if I'm opportunity to survive the condition, returning back to that institution as student, because that feelings of what he said will forever remain in my head.
So somebody that is placed at the helm of affairs got to know that one of his students of his department suddenly became visually. Did he know you before prior?
Yeah, of course. The HOD of my department, we at least we have series of interactions as regards issue of the department.
And suddenly you went to meet him, and the only response he could give you was that if you survive, fine. Exactly. If you cannot survive, then to help.
In fact, at that point, I felt, so this is another side of the life.
Viewers at home, I believe that you can empathize with Mr. HAKEEM Lawal. We want everybody, please, at whatever position you are, to understand that if you are in that position, you are supposed to help whoever that's come with a challenge. Challenges can happen suddenly. You can lose your sight, you can lose your hand, you can lose your mental, the ability to reason. But that does not mean you, as a person placed on that tool, should be able to rather contribute yourself in uplifting the person that is faced with this challenge. But rather, the man had to compound the issue and tell him to go to help. So how did you feel? I want to know your reaction there. Did you feel like you should just go down, you should just die suddenly, or something should just happen?
Thank you very much. At that point, I was demoralized. In fact, I was short of words. I opened his door and faced my way out without uttering a statement because I did not even know what exactly to say. And at that point, I said to myself, the reality has come. And I knew for sure at that very moment that I had a lot to face in life. But I have it deep down my heart, my mind that I was not going to give up, even if I eventually lose my sight. But I was not really sure of what to do if it eventually leads to total blindness. I only knew I would survive whatever God presents to me because I knew what I was passing through then wasn't my making. It was what the nature presents to me. And I knew it wasn't a mistake from God.
And you're going to move on and you're going to survive. I like that term. You are going to survive. Viewers at home, this is Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL. Is the president of the National Association of the Blind and the Youth Leader, the General Secretary.
Exactly.
Right, the General Secretary. So, what about people with other conditions? How do you manage them? Children with other conditions. What role have you played so far in the lives of those parents and in the life of the caregiver as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. At Joint National Association, that is an umbrella association for all clusters of persons with disabilities. It has not been easy. It has been a very hectic task. Shouldering the affairs of persons living with disabilities in a society where people give little or no regard to issues affecting persons living with disabilities. But we make sure we leave no stone unturned as association of persons with all forms of disability, be it that of the blind, the deaf, the physically handicapped, and others. But we gradually, because this is not where we were as some years back, we've taken some steps, and we thank God for the results we've gotten so far. At least we've been able to press for our need as regards policies that protect and promote the rights of persons living with disabilities in Kwara State and likewise at the federal level. And we now have Kwara State law for persons living with disabilities that protects their rights, and also the Prohibition Act against persons living with disabilities. And we didn't settle for that alone. We also make sure that children living with disabilities, regardless of their disabilities, are in school, because education is the best legacy you can bequeath in any children, regardless of whether or not such child is disabled or not. And to some extent, we've been able to achieve some good results. We work along with parents who do not even know how to help some of their children with disabilities.
Wow. Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL, he's here to tell us that they've been taking giant strides in ensuring that families, even parents and governments listen to them, know that there are people living with disabilities and they should be cared for. And at a point, there was time we were discussing, and when I put a call to you and I appealed to you that I wanted to be on the show, you told me that you were going to police station to sort out this. What was that? Please, can you just share that to the public?
Yeah, thank you. It was in the course of we demonstrating. If you must go on any demonstration, be it peaceful or whatever, you need to seek approval from the police and some other security agencies. So we were called upon, we were invited by the Commissioner of Police on the reason why we are going on a demonstration. And we had to just honor such invitation. And we really want to appreciate him. The police and other security agencies has been so helpful to the community of the disabled. And they had a meeting with us and they quickly swing into action, trying to see other ways through which we can resolve such matter without necessarily going on street. And like I said earlier on, it was just in our efforts to make sure that children with disabilities, especially the blind and others, have learning under a very conducive and non-threatening environment.
And the reason why you are agitating is that the blind and the deaf should be separated. They should not be clustered together.
Exactly, because of communication.
I get that. Of recent, I could say that the government of today, that means the governor of Kwara State, has been doing very well concerning persons living with disabilities. And you have a special advisor now, right?
Yes, we have a special advisor. In fact, not just a special advisor, but for the very first time in the history of Kwara State, we have a blind person from among us as special assistant to His Excellency Malam Abdulrahman Abdulrazak as his special advisor. And he's someone from among us, someone among those that really knows where the shoe pinches.
So if you are just joining in, or from whatever angle that you are picking up, I want to tell you that Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL is visually impaired, and he had gone through some certain challenges in his life, and he was able to stand up and to tell himself that he's going to make it out of his situation. He was also the one that encouraged his father to tell him to stop all other forms of expenses, and he should rather chart another course and to ensure that he lives a very successful life. Like I said in my previous episode, this episode is to tell parents and whoever, children, adults, right there outside, that you can make a meaning out of your life. You do not allow the challenges to weigh you down. Now, it is as a result of his own active participation in his in either in school or whatever. That was why you were made to be in that position. Now, I want to get, that means the government is becoming sensitive in Kwara State to the situation. What about other children with other conditions? Are they also sensitive to their plight?
As Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, we are doing everything possible to make sure that no child,
Yes.
regardless of his or her disability, is left behind. Because one of the legacy can bequeath to children is giving them the right form of education. As I speak, education of that of the blind, the deaf, and to some extent, to very little extent, that of the intellectually retarded ones.
Yes.
That one is not yet being given priority attention. But it is not as it was several years back.
So there's improvement.
There's much improvement.
That's good. What are the codes that you want the public to know that, okay, if this person is coming, this person is having this challenge,
Okay, first and foremost, I want the general public to understand the fact that one is blind or one is having one form of disability does not stop him from being human. Also, all forms of a discriminatory act towards persons with disability should be shunned because it makes them feel inhuman. And we've seen series of cases where people commit suicide. I mean, people with disability commit suicide because of some defamatory words uttered by members of the society. And at times, you may not really know that indirectly you have killed someone even by ordinary words of mouth. So I would want to appeal to the general public that whenever you see someone with disability, please accord them the amount of respect that they deserve. And when you see someone with visual impairment or face any form of disability coming, just see how you can best help such person. In the case of the blind, when you see a blind person coming with his or her mobility cane, it is usually a white cane.
Okay.
Just make sure you exercise caution, you exercise patience, because they also constitute one of the road users. So, because we've seen series of cases where blind people have been crushed, even to death, and this is not encouraging. We are one of the set of people that always encourage the disabled not to live a sedentary lifestyle, that there is dignity in labor, and in the course of they wanting to do their best, to even if it is just to be economically independent or contributing their best to the development of their society, we should not be the one discouraging them with our impatience. So let's always exercise caution. See how best you can approach them. They are gentlemen and women. How can I be of help to you? Some of them will need help to cross the road. And in some cases, we've seen series of cases where these motorists also exploit them, wanting to carry a physically handicapped person and charge him separately for his wheelchair. This is not good enough.
So is this part of what you are telling your special advisor? Let it be among the sensitization.
Yes, it is one of because it's in that directly or indirectly it is discriminatory.
Okay.
You wanting to charge, so it's part of what we've been calling for. It's part of what we've been agitating for because it is a discrimination and it is as it is contained in Prohibition Act Against Persons with Disabilities. All forms of discrimination should be shunned. And it's liable to some amount of penalty in the court of law.
Okay. Now the next question is what is the role your body or association is playing to ensure that there are many schools? If you look at the statistics, Mr. HAKEEM Lawal, it's not really a very good one. We can see that there are very few private schools having children living with disabilities. What can you tell the government? Not only the government now, we are not only focusing on the government, we are talking about the individuals, we are talking about private partnership, we are talking about corporate society. What can you do to ensure that there are a growing number of special needs schools so that these children can be incorporated in schools, they can have formal education?
Thank you very much. I want to start with that of the government. The government, though, is doing its best, but we believe they can still do better. Let them renovate some of these special schools that we have in Kwara State so that persons with disabilities can have very good and very good learning environment. And to others, because governments can't do it alone. Let's practice inclusive education. Let's be inclusive in our programs in any of these schools that we have in the society. Because we cannot say in the name of wanting to educate a child, then you deprive him or her the opportunity of living with his or her parents, taking them to special school. If their education is to be, if they are to be educated under special facilities at primary level, but at secondary and tertiary level, it should be an inclusive education. Inclusive in the sense that when we have any secondary school in our community, we ought to have some experts, I mean special educators.
Special educator.
Yes, because every special educator is by profession a conventional teacher. So they doubled as special educator. So they can teach every other subject and at the same time provide special assistance, special help to children with any form of disability. So just employ any of these special educators. And if eventually you have a child with special needs, one, it is easy for them to identify them. And it is very much easy for them to provide that special needs. Not necessarily by taking them to special schools, so especially at a secondary.
Do you have any blueprint documents as that?
Yeah, yes, inclusive education.
Yes.
In United Nations, there's a convention that supports that, and Nigeria is a signatory to such convention. And likewise, Discriminatory Act Against Persons with Disabilities 2019 supports that. All child with disability should be given education under any general education facilities without necessarily being discriminated against.
Mr. HAKEEM, I was asking you that the role you've gone to, I know that you would have browsed through the internet or you would have read about the fact that schools and autistic schools or schools with special needs abroad are doing very well in terms of equipment, in terms of building and in terms of structure. I know you've just told us that the government needs to play a vital role to have schools that will be able to that will be conducive. What about the equipment to help various forms of special need?
Thank you very much for that question. First, I want to mention that educating children with disability is not easy. In fact, it's quite expensive, and I want to employ government to please see to how best they could help in this direction. Yes, we are not yet where we ought to be when it comes to educating children with disabilities in Nigeria, not only in Kwara State. So, as it is at the moment, we do not have the required facilities as it is in some developing country, not to talk of the developed country. So at this point, we are not where we ought to be. People with disabilities are just trying their best in their own little way to make sure they just find every possible means to be educated, not really as if the facilities are there. And so if you should get, it requires just a pen for a child and perhaps 6 exercise books or 12 to go to school. But in the case of the blind, for instance, you require what we call a braille machine that replaces the use of pen. And this costs as much as $1,000. $1,000 as of today is somewhere around 750,000 naira. Instead of a pen that costs less than 100 naira for the regular children.
Thank you very much, Mr. HAKEEM, for that submission. We hope anybody that is listening to this can help. Government cannot do it alone. Is also using this to tell you that they are not looking for sympathy. I can remember that word you used during our interaction yesterday.
We always want to be empathized.
Empathize.
When you sympathize us, you make us feel as if the condition is worse than this. Meanwhile, it is just, we see it as a mere impediment, not as an obstacle.
Exactly.
Which can always forge ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. HAKEEM LAWAL. I appreciate that submission. This will help whoever that is having one form of challenge or the other to understand that they can navigate through whatever ordeal that they are facing. Now, my next question will be so you said your father and mother came together to be able to train you. They had to forfeit the number of years that you spent in school, the expenses, and had to train you in another way. I can imagine how challenging that can be. Can you help me talk to the viewers at home to tell them the importance of the parents coming together to be able to help children with special needs?
Thank you very much. I quickly want to appreciate my parents. They were really there for me when it seems all hope was lost. They gave me all the needed support. Like I said, I happened to be an undergraduate 300 level before the situation occurred. But they didn't really mind how much they spent. They had to, renew their hope towards educating me. I had to go and start even from the scratch, not from university this time around. I started from a college of education, that's Federal College of Education Special, where I spent another 3 years, before I was able to gain admission into a university, that's University of Even they did not stop at first degree, they gave me the required and the financial support till I'm able to acquire my master's degree.
Wow, so you have a master's degree now?
Yes, in special education.
Wow, this is interesting. This is interesting. So, the international community, UNICEF, as we have known of recent, have come up with a blueprint to include special needs children in their template of work, or modus operandi, as they will say. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And how are you leveraging on that?
I'm very much aware, and I'm doing in our own little way. We are sensitizing our people that has some of the requirements, because this time around they are calling for such from those that are experts in the field of special education to come and put together to put heads together on how they can best help children living with disabilities, because they understand the fact that it takes being disabled to understand how people living with disability actually feels. So people with disabilities from the whole world are being invited to submit application to be part of some of their policy framework on how to go about assisting children with disabilities. And as we all know, UNICEF is always there to assist children, even not those with disability. But this time around, they are taking a new direction towards helping, like creating a policy framework to help children with disabilities around the world. So in our own little way, also myself as special educator, I'm doing my best to be part of this team if I'm opportune to be selected. So we give it to them. Kudos to UNICEF for considering people with disabilities, especially the children, worthy of being part of their program.
Thank you very much. Mr. HAKEEM Lawal is always available in case it's needed. He has a master's degree. In case it's being called upon, he can you can rub minds together how to help children living with disability. He's a youth leader of children living with various forms of disability, one or the other. He's also the president, National Association of the Blind. Thank you very much, Mr. HAKEEM Lawal. And lastly, my question will be that, are you married?
Yes, thank you. I'm married, and thank God, I'm married to a beautiful wife, not an individual with any form of disability, because I always want to mention that, as I know for sure from experience, that people always want to know if, whenever a blind person says he or he is married, the next question is always, is your wife also blind? So I'm married, and I thank God, every member of my household are doing fine, and they are so supportive to me, to the extent that there's no point in time that I call for help that they don't give to me, even if it is in the middle of the night. So I will always want to appreciate them for being supportive. They make me have the feelings that even if I cannot see, then I have the feelings that the world is beautiful.
From his family, he also got support from individuals.
Exactly.
But then the community is not doing enough. Government of the day is also helping children as well as adults living with one form of disability or the other. With this episode, we are rounding up. The community has to do more. More needs to be done in terms of sensitization, in terms of awareness, and in terms of having equipment, modern day equipment, invention, renovation of schools to be able to meet the international standard, so that people. Now, I want to say one thing. I have to quickly include that I've noticed a form of overconfidence at times with people living with disability, whereby you want to help them. Some will also turn it down. Is your body doing something to ameliorate that?
Well, we always let our people understand that, it is something of the mind. People are always of the view that once you come across anybody living with disability, then such person must be a beggar.
Okay.
So by their own way of wanting to correct that impression, they tend to shun down all forms of direct assistance given to them as individuals.
Okay.
But we are using this opportunity to let them understand that if you must turn down help from someone, do it in a respectful way. People approach me on a daily basis at times when I'm going, "Oh, gentleman, can you please have this?" I say, "Oh, thank you very much. I think I'm self-sufficient. I'm okay. You can always give this to others that need it." And at times I redirect them, especially to the children with disabilities that actually requires such assistance. It is always a good thing to give a helping hand, but you can always channel that through the association, because they know those that are really in need. Not all persons with disabilities requires assistance. some are in a position to help.
Okay.
Even not to help the disabled alone, but to help even the general society.
Okay. Thank you very much on that submission. So we are going to round this episode. He is saying that having one form of disability does not mean you should take to the street and start begging. He's also advocating that there should not be pity party card played here. You should not take advantage of whatever situation you are going in and use as a platform to, to disturb the public or whoever that is willing to assist. And if you're also willing to assist, it's also saying that you should channel it through the body, and they will know how to come together and be able to give that whatever aid or whatever forms of assistance to whoever that needs it. We are going to wrap up this episode. I want to thank you very much, HAKEEM LAWAL, for coming. I really appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, viewers at home and wherever you are watching this. Please keep liking, keep sharing. Actually, this episode is going to be interesting, and I believe that we've done that. The next episode will be quite interesting as well. Please keep sharing and keep subscribing. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.